Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nightly Scroll. I'm Hayley Caronia, and it is good to be back in Florida. I just want to say it feels really good. So thank you all for joining me this Monday evening. I hope everyone had a good weekend. I know I did. If you want to watch this show live in full, you got to do it on Rumble. Rumble.com/Hayley is the only place you can watch this show from start to finish. You might be watching on X right now. You might be watching on Facebook. Come on over to Rumble. You watch us live in the chat. You can scroll with all my homies. There's a nice community we got going on there. So come and join us. And if you want to listen at your own leisure, feel free to do that. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. It'll get posted right after this show goes live. So without further ado, we woke up to very good news this morning that President Trump has ushered in a new age of peace in the Middle East. Thank God. Also, Columbus Day is back in a big way. Happy Columbus Day to all who celebrate and to my Italian Americans. Also, California is bringing back mask and vaccine mandates this flu season. Does Kamala Harris have Democrat support behind her for a run in 2028? She might. We're going to play the tape. Also, our very own Nightly Scroll airport chaos story. Justin is not here today, but Andy and I are going to recall our very own airport chaos situation that we dealt with coming back from DC. So we'll get into that. I did take a video, but the video wasn't good. So anyway, we'll just explain. And I do have an extra long scrolling time to make up for a week of interviews, which I hope you all enjoyed anyway. So put your phones on Do Not Disturb. Nightly Scroll starts now. Separately, this peace deal that has been brokered by President Trump and others in his administration would ensure the entry of aid, much needed aid, and the exchange of hostages as well. But there's a lot of aid that needs to get into Gaza for people who are living there. They have faced so much destruction. So the Israeli government released nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees today, also as part of this ceasefire agreement. That included 250 people who were serving life sentences, 1,700 people who have been detained and held without charges since October 7th, 2023, that horrific terror attack. So all of this is good. Mr. Trump says that there are still 24 bodies that have been yet to be returned. And he says that not all of the bodies have been found and recovered yet. So this is still ongoing, but a lot of this progress that, has started Friday over the weekend and certainly today with the signing of the Gaza Peace Deal is just absolutely wonderful to see, because this devastation that has taken place over the last 2 years, over 2 years now, has been heartbreaking, to say the very least. People's homes have been reduced to rubble. Innocent people have died. They've been starved, held hostage. So any measures to put this horrific war to an end is a massive accomplishment and a win for world peace. And that's not to say that it's all over. This is just the beginning, but this is the kind of progress that only President Trump could pull off. And I think anyone knows that, and anyone who has seen the amazing progress that was made in the Middle East during his first administration can see this now. He is the only guy who can do this. Biden wasn't going to do it. So here is President Trump announcing this incredible feat earlier today. Watch.
Mr. President, Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, esteemed members of the Knesset, and cherished citizens of Israel, we gather on a day of profound joy, of soaring hope, of renewed faith, and above all, a day to give our deepest thanks to the Almighty God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. After 2 harrowing years in darkness and captivity, 20 courageous hostages are returning to the glorious embrace of their families, and it is glorious. 28 more precious loved ones are coming home at last to rest in this sacred soil for all of time. And after so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity. And let me...
Just amazing. And later this same day, President Trump signed the Gaza peace plan alongside a plethora of Middle Eastern leaders in Egypt. And, the fact that Hamas released the remaining Israeli hostage that have been in captivity for over 2 years is a testament to President Trump's leadership and his ability to strike a peace deal against the odds, right? It's also a testament to the people President Trump has surrounded himself with in his cabinet, Secretary Marco Rubio being the greatest cabinet member that President Trump could have ever picked. I mean, I'm not alone in saying that. I have been so impressed with Secretary Marco Rubio. I know we joke about all of the jobs and all of the hats that he wears, right? And that's like one of my favorite meme templates is Marco Rubio sitting in the Oval Office like dejected and tired. And, it's funny to make fun of, but seriously, he is like a jack of all trades. And this couldn't have been done without him. And not only Marco Rubio, but Jared Kushner, who helped President Trump broker the Abraham Accords in his first administration, along with Special Envoy Steve Witkoff, who met with Hamas leaders last week to help broker this deal. It was a team effort, and they all deserve our respect and thanks for this. But here is President Trump giving Secretary Marco Rubio his flowers. Watch this.
And then you're going to add a man named Marco Rubio, who is also here. That's right.
Look at this standing ovation for him.
And I have a prediction that Marco will go down, I mean this, as the greatest Secretary of State in the history of the United States. I believe that. I believe it. And he and I, we really fought it out. You remember, he was tough. He was nasty. Who the hell thought this was going to happen, Marco, right? And now I'm saying he's going to go down as the greatest. He will. He was always smart and sharp, and people respect him. And then we have somebody who...
We've come a long way from the Lion Lil Marco days.
Oh, man, those were brutal, weren't they?
No, it wasn't Lion Lil Marco. It was Lion Ted Cruz, and Lil Marco.
What he had another pithy fun name for Jeb Bush.
Yeah, what was that? I don't even remember.
I have to look it up.
Anyway, I mean, President Trump, as we know, is the king of nicknames. But, like I said, we've come a long way from the Lil Marco days. Now, Lil Marco has been promoted to just about every job in the White House, and President Trump giving him his flowers there, which I thought were well-deserved, and the standing ovation, again, well-deserved. But also the Pakistani prime minister gave Trump his flowers, nominating him for the 2026 Nobel Peace Prize. Listen to this.
One of the greatest day in contemporary history, because peace has been achieved after untiring efforts led by President Trump, who is genuinely a man of peace. I would say that Pakistan had nominated President Donald Trump for Nobel Peace Prize for his outstanding, extraordinary contributions to first stop war between India and Pakistan, and then achieve ceasefire along with his very wonderful team. And today, again, I would like to nominate this great president for Nobel Peace Prize, because I genuinely feel that he is the most genuine and most wonderful candidate for Peace Prize, because he has brought not only peace in South Asia, saved millions of people.
There were no new wars started under Trump 1. None. And under Trump 2, wars are coming to an end. So if anyone is deserving of a Nobel Peace Prize, it is President Donald J. Trump. And even CNN had to admit that President Trump was responsible for this peace deal. And not only that, they were reporting on the ground of all of the people in Israel with MAGA hats on. Listen to this.
And, of course, endless applause for President Trump. Endless applause for President Trump.
And when I was there, I even saw people wearing Make America Great Again hats in that crowd over at Hostage Square.
Yeah, and someone in the chat just said they'll never give Trump the Nobel Peace Prize. I tend to agree with you. I don't think that he'll get it, but I'm saying that he absolutely deserves it. If any president deserves it, it's President Trump. Like I said, no new wars started. He's just ending wars. He knows how to negotiate with terrorists. He knows how to get a peace deal done. He knows how to put the pressure on people. Peace through strength, foreign policy. This is exemplary. So, and I will say, and I've said this on the show before, when Trump was running in 2016, I thought, I love everything about him, except I was a little nervous about President Trump on the world stage because we'd never had a president like him ever. And that's not to say that I didn't support him. I mean, I voted for the man 3 times. I love the man. But when we didn't know what he could do, I was nervous about him on the world stage. I was nervous about his foreign policy because, again, we had never had an outsider president before. I knew that he'd be fine with the economy, business deals, all that stuff. I knew that we'd be fine. Certainly with the border wall, I thought this guy's great. But again, we had never seen him work with other world leaders before. And I was pleasantly surprised by his first administration and everything that he did on the world stage.
You know what's funny about it is if all it takes is just one to break the chain of just sort of kissing each other's ass.
Right.
And Trump on the world stage wants the most sense for each country. He's not leaning like he wants better European business deals, he wants better Asian business deals, and it's like you've actually seen him not embraced, scared of, and then now that we're at the first of his second term, world leaders are sort of they're warming up to this guy as he's going to make us money.
They respect the hell out of him. And as they should. I mean, he has proven his place on the world stage and he has earned that respect. But I thought was interesting. So this video that we just showed of CNN, and they're talking about everyone wearing MAGA hats and cheering for President Trump and applauding President Trump. So Benny Johnson wrote on X, like he posted that video. But then he also tweeted this in accompaniment. CNN was visibly stunned as they reported crowds in Tel Aviv wearing MAGA hats and loudly cheering for President Trump. I don't think they looked visibly stunned at all. I actually disagree. I don't think they looked shocked. I think everyone knows who's responsible for this. I think CNN were boots on the ground discussing what they were seeing. And the truth is that people were cheering for President Trump. I actually don't think that they were even, upset that they had to report on that. It was just, there's no other way to look at it. I mean, I didn't see that at all. I don't think that they were visibly stunned that people were supporting Trump.
The American media has no worldview. And that's totally what's frustrating. Their bias is revealed at all times. I told you this story when Trump won in 2020. I was in Honduras, and in downtown Tegucigalpa, in San Pedro Sula. I mean, I saw it in San Pedro Sula. There were people flying 30-foot long American flags with the word Trump on it. I mean, it's the energy is worldwide. It's not recognized here in the States, but it is, and that's why you're not seeing. They're embracing it over there,
right?
And whoa, we're all of a sudden shocked. It's like, no, this is actually how it is.
I don't even think that they were shocked. Who else would we be thanking for this? Of course they're gonna. Why wouldn't people be wearing MAGA hats? I mean, there's hopefully an age of peace. We don't know exactly what's going to happen next, but this is certainly a good start. Why wouldn't people be wearing MAGA hats? And I mean, maybe deep down, people on CNN are disappointed that Biden didn't get it done, but that's also not shocking. We didn't expect President Biden to get this done. You can't negotiate with terrorists via autopen. So Biden was a complete failure on the world stage, actually emboldening terrorists and handing the Taliban our military equipment in Afghanistan. I don't even want to think about Kamala Harris having to negotiate with terrorists. President Trump is a master negotiator. He gets deals done. His first administration was historic, brokering the Abraham Accords, now an even more historic Gaza Peace Deal that President Trump says will hold up, and I hope that that is true. Meanwhile, the Chicago Marathon took place over the weekend, and, to Andy's point from a few minutes ago, people in the States, in deep blue cities, they don't love Trump as much as people from, abroad, right? So listen to this and watch this. People walking by, running by, and, a lot of people, when they go see a marathon, they have signs. They're usually not political. Normally it's, go Christy, go Karen, go Joe, go whoever. You're cheering on your friends, your family members, but this was a little different. Punch Trump, the sign says, and it has a little Trump face on it that you can kind of hit like a piñata. And all these runners, they're running by and they're punching Trump, and these insufferably annoying people are cheering. Just gross. Isn't it interesting to see the difference in how liberal Americans see President Trump while the entire world is praising him for brokering historic peace in the Middle East, for brokering a deal that forced terrorists to return hostages? And liberals in Chicago are mad that he wants to clean up crime in their city and deport illegal aliens. It just goes to show how narrow-minded some of these people are. They refuse to see any of the good that President Trump does. But I want to take a quick break to tell you about Home Title Lock. If you are a homeowner in the United States of America, you need to listen to this. The FBI has been warning about a type of real estate fraud on the rise called title theft, and your equity is the target. So here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on a single document. They use a fake notary stamp, and they file it with the county. Just like that, on record, they own your home. Using your ownership, they can take out loans against your equity and even sell your property, and you won't even know about it until foreclosure or collection notices show up in the mail. That is why I have partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can protect your equity and find out today if you were already a victim. Use my promo code SCROLL at HometitleLock.com, and you'll get a free title history report and a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection that is 24/7 monitoring of your title records, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud occurs, their US-based restoration team will spend up to $1 million to fix it. So this is why, I'm not a homeowner, but now I have turned everyone in my family onto Home Title Lock. All of my friends who are now buying their first homes, I am telling them about Home Title Lock because you have to protect yourself. Do not be a victim. Protect your equity today. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code SCROLL, or use the link in the description. Paid subscription after 14-day trial ends, and you can cancel at any time. I also want to tell you about Blackout Coffee. This is my favorite way to start the day, and if you're like me, you need that caffeine fix fast in the morning, the new coffee pods are a total game changer. These aren't your average grocery store pods. Blackout pods are packed with fresh roasted, bold coffee made right here in Florida, and they work with those single-serve pod brewers. It is fast, it is easy, and it is delicious. I love it. I love all their flavors. Banana Foster, the cinnamon toast French roll, or whatever it is. It's so freaking good. They also have another one. I think it's like a Christmas, winter blend. Very good. So, we're getting ready for the holiday season. They have a flavor and a roast for you. It is not bitter. It is not stale. It is good. And you just pop one in and you've got a strong, smooth cup of coffee in just seconds. So if you're racing out the door, juggling kids, you're jumping into back-to-back calls, Blackout Coffee is your new morning lifesaver. And the best part is you don't have to live in Florida to get Florida Fresh Coffee. They ship nationwide. So you'll get fresh coffee at your door in just days. Head to blackoutcoffee.com/scroll or use code SCROLL at checkout for 20% off your first order. All right. Happy Columbus Day, everyone. Happy Columbus Day to the normal people who celebrate. Of course, if you're a liberal, you celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. They believe that Columbus couldn't have discovered the New World if natives were already living there. So, they toppled his statues. They've attempted to change the name of the holiday or, discredit his discovery all in general. They have these land acknowledgements. They have to acknowledge the land that they are on, that it is stolen land, and it all stems, of course, from their white guilt. But it was a historic discovery, certainly a proud moment for Italians and Italian Americans who celebrate Columbus's voyage. We would not be here if it was not for him. So that kickstarted the melting pot that our country is today. And here is President Trump, this was last week, announcing that Columbus Day is going to be Columbus Day. Watch.
Christopher Columbus obviously discovered the New World in 1492. He was a great Italian explorer. He sailed his 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, across the Atlantic Ocean and landed in what's today the Caribbean. But this is a particularly important holiday for Italian Americans who celebrate the legacy of Christopher Columbus and the innovation and explorer zeal that he represented.
In other words, we're calling it Columbus Day.
Yes.
Short and sweet. Short and sweet from the POTUS there. In other words, we're calling it Columbus Day. In other words, whatever the hell we were calling it before, we're going back to normalcy. We're seeing a lot of this with the Trump administration, just a return to normalcy, right? Men are men, women are women again. Columbus Day is Columbus Day. I mean, all of this makes sense.
Did you hear that guy's question? It was like a history lesson. Like it was like a plaque at the Smithsonian. I mean, he gave the date, the ship Columbus came in on, where all he stopped, how the stars were lined, what they ate on the ship. Like, I mean, Trump's just sitting there like, yeah, okay, get to the question.
He's like, well, no, that's, it wasn't a question. They're like announcing what the executive order is. And then President Trump just signs it and he adds his little tidbit afterwards. But yeah, I love it. I love President Trump. He's just so funny. He's funny even when he's not trying to be funny, which is funny. Speaking of funny, well, or whatever, we'll see. I want to talk about SNL, which, as we know, they're not that funny. Sometimes they hit gold, you know, like a broken clock is right twice a day, and SNL kind of does something funny every once in a while. I like the Weekend Updates with Colin Jost. I think he's funny, and Michael Che. I think they're funny when they write each other's jokes and they I'll give them credit where credit is due, right? But SNL, they made a joke about Kristi Noem and Pam Bondi, played by the iconic duo Tina Fey and Amy Poehler. Watch this.
You say that the troops are there to protect ICE facilities, but why is ICE there in the first place?
I don't know. You'll have to ask Homeland Security Director Kristi Noem.
Well, she isn't here.
What if she is, though? Hold my gun. That's right, it's me, Kristi Noem. I spell my name with an I because that's how I thought it was spelled. And I'm the rarest type of person in Washington, D.C., a brunette that Donald Trump listens to. I'm here to tell you that this Democrat government shutdown needs to end now.
Well, the Democrats are even more eager to end this shutdown than our Republican colleagues.
Ha! That makes me laugh more than the end of Old Yeller.
When the dog gets shot?
Dogs don't just get shot. Heroes shoot them.
It's pretty funny. I cracked a smile. All right. It wasn't like an LOL moment, but I cracked a smile. And here's the thing. Oh, what's your reaction?
My thing with this is even when they did the George W. Bush elections, you know, they had him on the stage and he would make up words like strategery and stupid stuff. But they were just poking fun at personality traits or outlandish stuff. You know what I mean? They weren't, SNL can make fun of something, but it has a political lean.
Right.
That's when it becomes not funny. If you're just poking fun at the goofiness of somebody,
right,
like that skit didn't bug me. I mean,
right.
Kristi Noem is 100% made up at all. She probably wakes up at 5 a.m., full makeup, lashes.
And she looks gorgeous.
Yes. So that
we love
particularly didn't bug me, but
right.
like just keep the skits non-political. Like make fun of the characteristics and it's funny.
I will say, Tina Fey dressing up as Kristi Noem, best she's looked in a long time. She looks good with those hair extensions and all that. Like, she looked good. I know she was trying to make fun of Kristi Noem, but I'm like, she looks hot. So, whatever. Also, I didn't really understand. I didn't think Amy Poehler was doing a great job playing Attorney General Pam Bondi. She was just kind of giving like a stank face. I didn't really get that. I guess she was trying to have an attitude because when Pam Bondi was on Capitol Hill whenever it was last week. I guess she was throwing some attitude around, but I didn't think that Amy Poehler
Is that what you I thought she was just trying to give the selfie face all the time. Like that was my impression of it. Just like the I'm here to take the selfie kind of look.
I don't know. Anyway, this is why. So Attorney General Pam Bondi posted this on X, which is the reason why I wanted to show the SNL post just for context. But this is what Attorney General Bondi said. She tweeted at Secretary Noem, should we recreate this picture in Chicago? Loving Amy Poehler. Now, this is the levity that we should be able to have. You should be able to survive the atrocity of having a sombrero photoshopped on your head without going on cable news and saying racist, xenophobic, that was mean. Like, we've seen now President Trump, Vice President Vance, Leader Mike Johnson, now Attorney General Pam Bondi, all welcome the memes made about them, the jokes made about them, and admit that they are funny. I love it. I love that Republicans are now the party of not only dishing out jokes and memes, but they are also the party that can take it when it is thrown back at them. Amen to that.
Laugh at it. And you know what the truth is? We're funnier. The stuff that the White House does is funnier.
It's so funny.
So, I mean, these people that are on the right are just sort of taking it in jest and laughing at it, which is the attitude you should have anyway.
Funny.
But when they come back at stuff, it's funnier.
Totally. Absolutely love it. All right, we have to talk about Gavin Newsom, and I do want your gun owner expertise on this because, as everyone knows, I'm not an expert on this, but, you know, I am a proponent of the Second Amendment, of course, and the Constitution. And so Gavin Newsom signed this Glock ban, and basically he is banning the new Glock design that allows the gun to be modified, this Glock switch that can be 3D printed so that your Glock can turn into an automatic weapon. Now, newer models of Glocks have this added piece that's supposed to block the Glock switch. But California's Attorney General hasn't approved that for sale in California. So Gavin Newsom is banning the new guns that have the Glock switch to prevent people from using a Glock switch. That doesn't make sense to me. Unless he's only banning the older new ones, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like this is totally just to get his name and the word gun control together.
Totally.
Because listen, people can totally print a gun.
Yes.
And a 3D print a gun from it's like a hobby. There are people out there that do this, like people play video games. They make 3D guns, and the more guns that are made not from metal but from like polymer,
right,
it's easy. You can't overheat them, and you might only get 150 or 200 rounds through it, but you can make it again.
Right.
You know, and so like this isn't anything that has not been done before or is not even done often. And so like this is, if you don't know guns and you don't have any kind, you're just like, wow, Newsom's taking a stance.
Right.
But it's just a false flag because these things, you've been able to make 3D guns
right
for a long time.
I think you brought up a great point, is that a lot of the people who are anti-gun, they don't own guns. So when they hear this, they think, oh, Gavin Newsom's my hero. He's banning Glocks. And a lot of these people that would maybe vote for Gavin Newsom don't even know the difference, right? And we hear this a lot. And I admit when I don't know something, a lot of people in politics don't do that. Like a lot of sitting senators and congressmen, I mean, on the left, they'll talk about guns and they use the wrong language and all that stuff, and they pretend like they know what they're talking about and they don't. That I hate. That's like my biggest pet peeve in this industry, is when people don't admit when they don't know something. People would have a lot more faith in the media and also the government if people just admitted when they didn't know something. I don't expect everyone to know everything, but just don't pretend that you do.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying that like down the road, like 3D printing of guns, as this material gets better and 3D printers get better and they become cheaper and more plans are available. I mean, you know, I'm a Second Amendment guy, bar none, but it's on the table as a discussion. It's just like, we don't want 3D printers ubiquitous and then people can just make ghost guns. Right. And nobody knows it. So, I mean, it's like having the discussion is what is important, and nobody comes to the table to have a discussion. Instead, they do stuff like this, right, where this is no new news. Newsom is just completely using this to get his name associated with gun control, and it makes a couple of headlines, and he's getting on that all these mainstream issues, watch this, he'll start tackling when he's starting to dive into what
Right.
2028 looks like.
And, Glock switches are already illegal. It's already illegal to kill people. So again, if you're a criminal and you're looking to do something wrong, you don't care what Gavin Newsom does or doesn't do. You're not paying attention to the law. You're already not abiding by it. So what's interesting, because I was looking into this, like, what does this actually mean? So the law prohibits licensed firearm dealers from selling new Glock-style handguns. But if you already have one, it's fine. You don't have to give it back or anything. So again, it's like, what is this actually doing? It's doing nothing. It's just preventing people from buying new guns, or new Glocks rather. But again, this isn't like a gun buyback thing where if you already have one, you have to get rid of it. So this kind of just, it's kind of useless. I guess you just prevent people from buying new ones. But basically, if you are a member of law enforcement or military personnel, you're exempt from this. So you can buy a new Glock, which, is this not what the Second Amendment tries to protect us from? The government and military having weapons that the public can't have?
Well, 100%. And I think, California's gun laws are pretty strict anyway. No, it's like, it's hard to get a gun in DC. It's hard to get a gun in New York. You have to go through a lot of red tape to get a concealed carry. In Florida, it takes no time. In Tennessee, it takes even less time to get a concealed carry. And so it's like, the gun laws are strict in Chicago and New York and LA, and all these people are still experiencing a ton of gun violence. This does no good.
No, of course. It does nothing. There's no gun legislation that you can pass that makes criminals care. Criminals don't follow the law. There's no gun legislation that makes a difference. There's only gun legislation that makes you a more appealing candidate to voters, right? So that's really all that this is about. But this is expected to be challenged because there are Second Amendment groups, the Firearms Policy Coalition. They've already said that they plan to challenge this in federal court. So ongoing, I could see this being overturned. I could see this being challenged in the courts. So not saying that this is, a done deal in California, but certainly interesting. And I think Andy is 100% right that
I would say it'll probably get I'd say it'll probably get overturned. And I also would say Newsom doesn't care.
Right.
Because he just wants his name aligned with gun control, and he's on the track in 2028 to start speaking on these issues. And this is just a false flag, stupid thing to get headlines.
100%. Also in California, mask mandates are making a return. Not totally statewide as of right now, but hey, the night is young. The flu season is young. You never know what's going to happen. But Sonoma County, they have issued a mandate as of today that will go into effect November 1st. So in a few weeks, if you go into a healthcare facility, you will have to wear a face mask. This is because, I'm quoting them, risk of COVID, flu, and other respiratory virus-related illnesses over the fall and winter months. Now, here's the thing. Also in this article, I'm reading it, and they are quoting the CDC when they say this, quote, influenza is believed to be emerging this year as even more deadly than COVID in the United States. Last winter, flu made between 47 to 82 million people sick in the United States, with between 30,000 and 130,000 people dying from the illness, according to the CDC. It's a slippery slope because they can turn anything into a pandemic, right? They can fearmonger their way into more mandates and more bans, more vaccine mandates, whatever they want, right? Because if COVID is less deadly than the flu, and the flu has always been deadly, by the way. People die from the flu. It doesn't mean that it's a pandemic or an epidemic. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to die from it and we need to go into shelter in place and we need to quarantine all these things. We know this, right? We know the risk of getting the flu, and people just aren't afraid of it. But Democrats really know how to fearmonger their way into control. That's what this is. Do not let them. Do not let them. They say the COVID and flu season is coming up, so now you have to wear masks again. We've always had a flu season, by the way. And COVID They shut the entire world down for COVID when now the flu overtakes COVID deaths and COVID sicknesses. Again, do not let them do this. Do not comply. I, for one, am never wearing a mask ever again. Of course, I live in Florida, so I'm likely never have to wear a mask ever again. But, you know, when I was living in New York, I tell this story all the time. I was sitting on the subway, no mask on because I don't care. But a police officer came up to me and said, you need to put this on, and gave me a mask. I put it on, right? Like a cop comes up to you and says, you have to do this. I'm like, well, I'm not going to say no or fight. I'm just going to put it on and then I can take it off, you know? But isn't that crazy?
I mean, like,
I can't believe we lived through that.
COVID in itself was an experiment of group non-critical think.
Yes.
Because if you looked at any kind of data or have any kind of understanding of it all, you could make a grown-up decision. Not even to say you didn't, you know, maybe there were people that felt like they needed to take there's no judgment of whether or not you felt like my grandparents were in their upper 80s, you know what I mean? If they felt like they needed to take the COVID shot, okay, you know, but like I didn't. Then in my late 30s with no health problems, you certainly didn't need to do it. My daughter certainly didn't need to do it.
Right.
And so what it turned into, though, was group acquiesced, group think, virtue signaling, and then pressure put on pressure, put on pressure, and put on pressure. And the cookie crumbles. And I hope people can learn to forget about whatever it is, the next thing. It might not be a flu virus.
Right,
it might be something
else.
Think for yourself.
Yeah. 100%. I think a lot of people woke up during COVID, which I think also had a lot to do with President Trump being reelected, because a lot of people woke up to government nonsense and mandates and things like that. And the Democrats have to wear that proudly because that was their thing. I mean, Democrats own the lockdowns. That was Democrat governors, Democrat mayors. That was them. President Trump might have been in office. He might have gotten the vaccine going, but the mandates were on the Democrats. The lockdowns were on the Democrats, right? I mean, the only thing that President Trump and Mike Pence did was do the 15 days to slow the spread. Then it was like up to the governors to do whatever in their states. And that's where we saw this huge discrepancy between red states and blue states, where Florida was the land of the free. And, you know, places like Michigan and New York and California, I mean, this is where you couldn't even go to the beach without wearing a mask.
A lot of people don't understand this one point quickly, is that Florida's flu season, we just went through it. It's the summer. It's so hot down here. Everyone is inside always. It's the summer. Things spread indoors. You know, so we went through that in the early part of COVID and started figuring out, like, I mean, a lot of people down here probably had it and didn't even know.
Right.
So,
and I wonder how many people died from the flu, but because they also had COVID, they died from COVID.
Well,
you
it
know
was
what I mean?
fishy. It's fishy to me when I believe in Orlando, the newspaper in Orlando released that a guy was in a motorcycle wreck and decapitated on the turnpike.
But he died from COVID.
We started figuring out it was a little fishy here before it led into the fall and winter in other parts of the country where it is flu season. So Florida benefited a lot just from the seasons, you know, but that's an important point because we lived through it.
Yeah. Well, I want to get into this naked bike ride. All right. Andy called me today. And, you know, we covered the naked bike ride a few weeks ago because when this was announced, I covered it. I said, this is insane. And I'm looking forward to it. And, you know, it happened over the weekend and we're going to cover it. And Andy called me before the show started and he said, are you sure that you want to play this video? Andy's very disturbed. We're going to play it. Here's the naked bike ride that took place in Portland. Of course, they are protesting ICE, just with no clothes on this time. Oh! There's a lot. If you're listening and not watching, you're in luck. There's a lot of flabby, pale people who live in the Pacific Northwest who've never seen the sun. And they've got, you know, F fascism spray painted on their backs. And they're singing to Katy Perry. Teenage Dream? Yeah. Again, Andy called. He said, are you sure you want to play this? And I said, yeah, if these people were brave enough to talk about, you know, protesting ICE and they were brave enough to go naked, then yes, then I will show it. But Andy was super disturbed by it. And not that I'm endorsing this kind of naked bike ride, but I think if you're going to say that it's a naked bike ride, you best be showing up naked. There's a lot of clothes here. I'm not saying I want to see them all naked. I'm just saying they're not doing a very good job. We saw too much, by the way. There were a lot of naked people, and it's never the people you want to see naked that show up naked.
Never.
But there's a lot of clothes here. They're wearing shorts, shirts. It's very odd. Like, they're not doing a very good job. And Andy said maybe it was because it was raining, but isn't it always raining over there? I don't know. There were some people who were fully naked.
It probably is.
But then they had a rain poncho on. I just think if you're going to plan a naked bike ride, don't half-ass it. No pun intended. You have to whole-ass it. Put your whole ass on the bike.
That's a lot of those would have been pretty large bicycle seats to get all butt on the bicycle seat.
I know. These people need to bike ride more often. They might look better for the next naked bike ride.
It felt like there was some carb loading happening before that event. Not the day before like you're supposed to, like maybe 10 minutes before.
I mean, this is Free the Nipple meets body positivity, which are the most insufferable people you've ever met. And now they're on wheels. That is what this is.
Being from East Tennessee, it has come across my mind to do like a dumb thing or two. You know what I mean? It's like the city state of like, hold my beer. My question is, was there not a good old Southerner in Portland on this bike ride that could have just pedaled to the front and said, are we sure we want to do this?
Someone in the chat
Should we put the clothes back on?
Someone said, isn't there a law that you can't be naked in public? Which I also thought. I had that same thought. Like, can't you not be naked in public? But
I think it's the gesturing of the lewd gesturing is what is illegal. I could be wrong.
Can you be naked in public? No. You generally cannot be naked in public. This is according to Google AI, so everyone take that with a grain of salt. But no, you generally cannot be naked in public, as most U.S. states and local governments have laws against indecent exposure and public lewdness, which often require proof of intent to arouse, offend, or shock others. While some states, like Oregon, allow public nudity unless it's for sexual arousal. So I guess it's fine. As long as you don't intend to arouse anyone. And clearly these people are not.
Happening. Wasn't happening.
This is why it's the flabbiest, most pale people. They are not arousing anyone, so it's fine. They're allowed to do it.
I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of, was there not a lot, there wasn't a lot of ethnic diversity going on in that bike ride.
No.
I mean, there's some sensical people out there, but they ain't white Portlanders.
These are white liberal feminists out there. And my question to Andy before the show started, I said, do these people show up naked? Like, they all have to leave their houses, right? And I'm talking about the people who are actually naked, like not the people who are half naked. The people who actually show up with no clothes on. Did they leave their house completely naked with their socks and sneakers on and their bike? Did they hop in their car with their bike and drive to a location completely naked? Is that legal? And then they just got out and I mean, I'm thinking about this from a normal person who has like normal levels of social anxiety. I don't love walking in somewhere by myself or whatever. Could you imagine walking into something like maybe you don't have any friends going to this thing? You have to walk up naked. What if you're completely naked?
What if you had Uber?
What if you had Uber? Would an Uber driver pick you up?
I guess you're sitting on a towel in the Uber.
If you even have a towel.
I mean, that's scary.
I wouldn't pick someone up.
You know what? I mean, I would have worn some really, really. The businessman in me wants to set up like an Ozempic tent, as a vendor at the finish line right there, and see how much money I see like a see if I can grab a bag right there at the end of the finish line.
Everyone needs one. Everyone needs one. But yeah, these are the people who think that President Trump is an embarrassment on the world stage, and then they go and do something like this.
That is an amazing point. A dignitary over there signing peace deals and getting nominated.
They're like, oh, he's such an embarrassment. Meanwhile, they're ripping their clothes off and going bike riding.
Meanwhile, yeah, I'm riding a unicycle downtown Portland in the nude.
With my butt out. Oh, man.
What if you rented that bike to go on that bike ride and you didn't tell the owners you were riding it naked. Is that a problem?
Yes, that's disgusting. But I think a lot of people would rent the bike thinking that you don't do something like that. But I guess in Portland, you have to be prepared for anything.
Somebody in the chat said my business endeavor would be a bad idea because, unfortunately, they would have nowhere to put the money. You know.
Well, that's not true.
Unless they were smuggling it.
I could think of a few places they could put it. It wouldn't be pleasant, but... all right, this next story, I told Andy I'm going to save the reason for why I shared this story on the show for the show. I do want to explain. I'm embarrassed to admit that, well, let's get into the story and then I'll tell you why I picked it. So this is a senior judge in Georgia. Georgia's one of their most senior judges was arrested for drunk driving and a fender bender outside of a Florida strip club called Wackos, which is a crazy name for a strip club. I wouldn't want to go in there. I don't go to strip clubs, of course, but I certainly wouldn't go into one called Wackos. I mean, what are you going to see when you go into Wackos strip club? This isn't like top tier.
No, it definitely doesn't feel like a downtown Vegas establishment.
No. So I laughed at this headline. Senior judge busted for DUI after fender bender outside strip club named Wackos. So, of course, I click on this because I'm interested. Here is why I was interested in this story. This guy's name is Robert Guy. And Robert Guy goes by Bert. This was yesterday. I was years old when I realized that Bert was short for Robert. I have never in my life thought of that until yesterday. Did you know that? That Bert was short for Robert?
Bert? No, Bob. I always thought Bob was. I didn't know Bert.
I didn't know that either. I did not know that either. Am I alone?
I just thought Bert was that thing on Sesame Street.
Me too. I just thought that Bert was Bert. It was a standalone name. It never even crossed my mind that you could be a Robert that goes by Bert, which makes a ton of sense. Obviously, Bert is in Robert. But can't people spell Bert B-U-R-T, or am I crazy? No, people spell Bert B-U-R-T. Oh, Burt Reynolds? His name is not Robert, it's Burton. Okay, I feel less crazy now.
I didn't know... Yeah, no, I had
did you know that?
I had no idea. Guy also didn't know that, but
okay,
he's expounding on how many names Robert can have.
I feel so much better because when I saw this, and I saw it on Instagram, the New York Post Instagram, and then in the caption, it said Robert Bert Guy, Bert in quotes, and I thought to myself, holy shit, I had no idea that Bert was short for Robert. And I felt really stupid, and I was going to come on the show and just say, like dumb blonde moment. This is my dumb blonde moment that I think is very funny. I'm just being honest. But someone in the chat says there's Bert and then there's Bert. E and U. But is B-U-R-T only short for Burton?
This is blowing me away here.
No,
I feel like
me
I've
crossed
over into a fifth dimension.
And Bert, okay, so Bert Kreischer, the comedian, his name is Albert. So I guess there's a lot of different options for Bert. It's not just Robert.
It appears to be short for Albert, Robert, Herbert, and Bertram.
Bertram, and then Burton.
Very interesting.
I've never thought about this. I just thought it was interesting. I wanted to bring it up. Certainly interesting because Bert Guy, his name is Bert Guy, which is interesting, but I had to bring this up. I thought I was going crazy.
But no more about Bert at Wackos.
No. We're going to get into that.
Good.
No,
I was still back to Wackos.
Back to Wackos. Sorry. I just had to get that off my chest because I saw it and I thought, am I the only one that didn't know this? And anyway, I guess I'm not. The Silverlock team was unaware of Bert lore. So anyway, he is a Superior Court judge in Georgia, and he backed his Mercedes-Benz into a Ford F-150 in the strip club parking lot, Wacko's parking lot, at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday. So this is a Monday night. This was his Monday night going into Tuesday. which is a crazy way to spend a Monday night. If you're
That's
at
a tough Monday.
If you're at Wacko's on a Monday night, what's going on? Is everything okay at home?
What kind of talent do they have scheduled at Wacko's on a Monday night?
I don't know.
I mean, it's Monday.
It can't be their best showing, you know? They got to save the top tier women, I would assume, for the weekend when more people are going to be there. So anyway, your life is in shambles if you're at Wacko's on a Monday night and you're there until 3 a.m. when you get super drunk and back into a Ford F-150 with your Mercedes-Benz. Tough. And anyway, he got into a conversation with the guy. He backed into the Ford F-150, got out, and said, please, I'll give you $500. Don't call anyone. Don't call the cops. I'm a superior court judge. That was his first mistake. Well, his second or third mistake, because his first mistake was going to the strip club on a Monday. Second mistake was getting so drunk and driving. Third mistake was telling this gentleman that he's a high level judge. I mean, his third mistake. And anyway, then the guy who was out there valeting, which interestingly enough, he could have had his car valeted. He went out and did it himself. So this is his fourth mistake now. And who knows what mistakes took place inside of the strip club before. We don't even know what Bert Guy was getting into. But anyway, he was taken back into the establishment when they realized he was too drunk to drive. And they called the police. Police came, and he insisted that he didn't have his ID. He didn't have his keys. He was lying to police officers. So then he was arrested at the scene. He was arrested for DUI, DUI property damage, and an additional charge for failing to submit a breathalyzer test. And he was released on $3,000 bond. I think if you're going to get into these kinds of antics, you can't be a judge. You can't be law enforcement. You can't be a judge. You can't work in this field of like catching criminals and then live a life of crime. You can't do it.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you got to be on your best
behavior. Who saves you?
You got to be on your best behavior. And I think maybe he thought, because I am superior court judge, I can get away with murder. Similarly to that woman, the assistant attorney general or whoever in Rhode Island who was back-talking and being annoying outside of that bar, remember? Like, do you know who I am? And I'm an attorney general and I'm blah, blah, blah. Like, maybe they think I'm above the law because I am the law, you know? Which is never a good way to think of it. So we have so much to do in scrolling time that I want to save it. I want to save it for tomorrow. I want to end the show on our story from the airplane. So, of course, as you all know, we were in DC all week, or for most of the week last week. And we came back and we were flying the only flight that we could catch, because I was going to that event to honor Sean Spicer. He became a captain in the Navy. It was a great event, but only could stay there for a little bit because I had to run back to the airport to catch the plate. And we were catching a later flight. It was supposed to take off at 8:30, and we were headed to Miami. Now, it was going to be a long night, but it became longer because there was a gentleman sitting how many rows in front of us, Andy? 2 rows?
Literally like 2 rows.
2 rows ahead of us. And he starts mouthing off to the flight attendant.
And it's important to know we were all in a different row. So
yes.
We all had like a different angle of this event.
Yes. Well, we were all behind this gentleman, but yes, different sides of the aisle. So Justin, Andy, and I are watching this go down, and our ears start to perk up. You know, our AirPods weren't in yet. The flight, like, we were still chit-chatting, and then all of a sudden there's this chaos brewing ahead of us, and we start to perk up, right? So this guy, he's got a headset on, Andy, and it's a one-sided headset. He's got the headset is flipped up. So he looks like he's calling the shots on the sidelines.
Yes, he looks like he's a coach in the NFL calling plays.
He was wearing a vest also.
And it was one ear. It was a one-eared coaching headset.
One ear. So he starts mouthing off to the flight attendant. After he tried putting his stuff in an overhead bin that clearly said, do not put your stuff in this bin. You know how some of the bins that you can't put your stuff in, it's relegated to, it's for equipment purposes or it's for the flight attendants or whatever. It's printed. There's text on the overhead bin that says, do not put your stuff in here. He goes to put his stuff in there. A flight attendant comes over and says, sir, you can't do that. Now he starts getting angry. Well, this is the overhead bin above my seat. So why can't I put my stuff in there? Well, because it says that you can't put your stuff in there. This is, normal people wouldn't put up a fight. Normal people would say, so sorry, I didn't see the message. My bad. The entire flight was empty, by the way. It was probably a quarter full. He could have sat anywhere and put his bags anywhere. It's not like the flight was full, there was no room, and this was like the one bag that was going to have to get checked or something. Like, none of that was in play. The entire plane is completely empty for the most part. So he's fighting with the flight attendant. Then he starts mouthing off and says something about how the flight attendant's not doing her job because there's no one sitting in the exit row. Because like I said, flight's pretty empty and no one was sitting in the exit row. And the flight attendant said, no problem. Like, don't worry about it. We're going to put someone in the exit row. We're just waiting for everyone to get on and whatever. And then the flight attendant said to him, do you want to sit in the exit row? And he says, no, I don't want to sit in the exit row. Why would you think that? Blah, blah, blah. I just think that you're not doing your job and I'm calling you out. So now they're butting heads. Now the guy with the headset on is saying, I don't like the way that I'm being treated on this airplane. And I just have to say, you all know how I feel about people taking a long time, people delaying. I think that you should have 30 seconds or less to put your bag up and put your bag down. And 30 seconds is being generous, by the way. Get in, get out, sit down and shut up. Those are the rules for the airplane. You sit down and you shut up. You sit down, and if the flight attendant tells you to do something, you do it. We're hurling through the sky in a metal tube. Like, just do what they're saying. Like, they're there to keep us safe. If they tell you to not put your bag somewhere, do it.
Especially when he had more than one. He had a person representing the flight itself that was a flight attendant on the flight. Right. Then he had a person from the gate come.
Well, then it was the customer service agent
came.
So the guy who is making this whole stink was like, well, now I'm not having a very good experience on this flight and I'm a paying customer and I'm blah, blah, blah. So then they had to bring on a customer service person to like calm him down and whatever. All this to say, he ends up getting kicked off of the flight. And I'm so glad that the flight attendant made this decision. But the flight attendant said, I actually don't feel safe with this aggressive, belligerent person on the flight. So I'm glad that he was taken off the flight. However, then his girlfriend or wife or whoever that he was with gets up and he at one point said, everyone start filming. Everyone start filming. So I started filming because I thought it was about to get dirty. I thought we were about to see some you-know-what. And it really didn't. He said, everybody start filming. And then he just walked off the plane. But then his girlfriend got up and she said, no one's coming to save you. Just know, no one's coming to save you. Girl, what are you talking about? Get off this damn plane. It is 8. We're supposed to take off at 8:30. It's 9 o'clock. Get off the plane.
And all it did was delay everybody's flight for like 45 minutes. And then I think he was sitting super close to, or if not in, the emergency row.
Right.
Which the overhead bin had things in it relative to that. So like, you picked the place you were sitting, man. I mean, like, I was not sitting in the seat I was supposed to sit in because 80% of the flight was empty.
Someone in the chat just said, where's the video, Hayley? I started filming when he said, everybody start filming, and then nothing happened. So I should have started filming earlier. But you could tell that the flight attendant wanted to. I think they know now, too, that everything's going to be filmed. You could tell that they were trying to keep this contained. Like, they were talking very low. Like, so if anyone was filming, they weren't really going to get, like, the juicy scoop. So that's why I don't have a video of it. But, yes, we were delayed, and then we got home at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, the moral of the story is
sit down and shut up. And then we all get to where we're going on time. You get 30 seconds. And honestly, 30 seconds is way too much. You get 15 seconds to put your bag up and take it down. And then you got to start moving. One foot in front of the other. People tend to forget that when they get on an airplane. They get airplane amnesia and they just start moving very slowly. I don't know what it is. If you are on an airplane, by the way, you have somewhere to be. You have a destination that you are trying to get to. So act like it. Put one foot in front of the other and go. Move.
Figure out a better headset plan, because wearing the one ear coach's headset with the microphone flipped up.
Oh my gosh.
On a flight.
And I was just cracking up because Justin and Andy were being so funny. Like, you guys were pretending like you were calling calling a football
And
game.
there was a shortage in the air traffic controllers, so we thought he might have been
because of the
catching a
government
plane
shutdown.
to another air traffic controller tower.
Right. Exactly. So anyway, that's my story. We didn't have time to get to all of the videos that I have for you. So I'm going to plan less stories for tomorrow so we can get to all of this, because scrolling time for tomorrow is going to be extra long, and it is going to be all of my favorite AI videos that are going viral right now. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you right back here tomorrow.